always either want to cross it or go with it.
Can you explain the light lines and with the current, which light line to fish, which side you want to be on, or which, under
We
which
really
lights
want
to
to
be
give
on?
these secrets away. That is what I would call fishing in a fish pond sometimes. You can get out there at night, and if you ease under the bridge, usually you want to be on the down current side. When you come in under the bridge, you come in slow, right before you go under the bridge, put the boat in neutral, because you'll keep going. And the light that's on the up current side will give you the most distinct dark line. And you will literally, you can come in, and just seen them stacked like cordwood like this, just sitting there in the current. And you can pitch a light little jig out there and crank it back, and you'll see 6 of them just take off after it.
So they're sitting in the dark and you.
They're in the
you're
dark,
casting
waiting for
into
something
the
to swim through that light, and they'll go after it.
So you're underneath the bridge casting into the light.
Cast out, you cast out, and then bring it
Cast
back
and
to
bring
you.
it back towards the bridge.
And using what, just buck?
Just like that, I mean, 1/4 ounce, because you don't want it to sink, you want it to stay up on surface. And, or shad, tail, either way. But yeah, I mean, once everybody started figuring that technique out, it was just like you see boats doing this all up and down the bridge, coming out, going in, coming out. But we found too that, if you see a police boat, you want to turn your lights on. But sometimes the fish are spooky, you might have to turn your nav lights off for a second in order to hook one, and then turn your lights back on before you drift out. But that is really, it's probably one of the easiest ways to catch stripers if you can get out there and get those circumstances right, when you got a good current running.
And you're talking early season there, or is it November, December?
Most of the time, that's usually been, our best bets, our best days doing that are usually from Thanksgiving to Christmas.
When the water gets colder.
And you can get out there late at night where there's not a lot of traffic. Because if there's a lot of boat traffic out there, it can spook them. And it can be frustrating. You can go down 10 or 12 piles and not see a fish. And all of a sudden, boom, you'll see one. Next pile, and you see 1 or 2. And then all of a sudden, there they are. I've gone into one and have literally seen them stacked like that from one pile all the way to the other side. And it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And usually if they're that thick, when you're cranking into the light, stop and let your bait sink before it gets to them, because there would be a bigger one down below. But, I mean,
And then
that's,
just kind of jig it along, or,
just make a cast and just, fast retrieve it
okay,
right back to you, because you're coming with the current. If you go slow, you're gonna sink. So you wanna kind of get it going fast enough to where you're actually making headway with the current. And, you can come right by the stripers and they'll all turn on and smack. It's kind of crazy, but it's fun. I mean, I've gotten out there, we just got so caught up in fishing. Next thing you know, it was 3 hours later, everybody's like, oh, we gotta go to work tomorrow.
so you finding yourself,
Yeah,
it's
I'll tell you that.
better in the evening, or better getting out there early in the morning?
That's usually something you'll find in the middle of the night, is being able to catch a good run of current where it stays a lot dark for quite a while. We get out there, say, we've found that at anywhere from between 9 and 3 in the morning. Once it's gotten dark for a while and you've had current running.
For those working folks out here?
Yes, I was like, by
Planning to
then.
open up-
Are we talking,
planning to
maybe,
open at night after
we're talking getting out there at 5 or 6? And
Well, they time changes, they said like next week.
This week.
This weekend?
No, it's this weekend?
Saturday night.
I think it's on the 7th, not the,
Second.
Second.
is it?
All right.
Cause I
Connie,
searched
can
it
we
on the
wait till
internet
Monday?
and I was like, what's the weekend?
The
There was a
news,
second-
News was wrong.
weather guy's been saying this weekend on the news.
Well, I don't know if they had it wrong when I searched it on the internet and then I was like, wow, it's the second weekend. of
Whatever.
November.
It'd be great to have a job where you only write 50% of the time.
Well, you giving them credit there.
So how deep do you go during the day?
Huh?
I find it hard, you know, because when we wire line, we put heavy at the bottom.
Well-
We put a 20-foot lead, and,
Right,
and sometimes we put it about 3 feet away from the bottom using a 3-ways, but.
I mean, it can, it'll wear you out.
Oh, no, it's that, but do we have to go that deep? That's more a question.
Pretty much they'll be on the bottom. Unless you're over the tube now, because they'll stack on the tube, but usually where you're out and you find them on the tube, it's gonna be 25 to 30 foot deep on top of the tube, so. I mean, it's kinda hard to control the tube when you're in very shallow water.
But daylight, go deep.
Yeah, I mean, we go up and down the bridge, they're gonna be on the bottom, that's where you're gonna find them, but usually, like this rig here, this is kind of it's scaled down. This wood here would usually be about, some people make them 12 feet, I like making them 18 feet, and usually my sinker drop, I'll make 5 foot.
With 20 ounce about, or depending on.
Depends on what I need to stay down there.
So you're bouncing that along the ground and that thing stays up a few feet
Right,
above
this is 1/4 ounce, this one's not, but that's what I use, because the current will keep it straight out. Because it's not heavy enough to sink in the current, so the current will keep it. So if you set your sinker at 6 foot,
What happens if you stick your thumb in a can?
Really?
It doesn't come out.
Really?
this will stay wherever your sinker lead length is. If you want it closer to the bottom, you shorten your sinker. But what we normally do is, where this was developed was over the tubes more than anything. Which,
And the fish are on the downside current,
they
side
literally,
of the tube,
and most of them are right on top of it.
right on the tube.
Is, try to draw this way. Now, this is what, if you're looking from out in the channel back at the island, this is the little coves, and this is where the tunnel starts to go underwater. And this is where it goes under. Now, it's raised way out here. I mean, once you get to the channel, it's literally where it pretty much goes under. What we used to go by is a house on all the islands. There's a brick building. And say if you've got current going this direction, coming in from the ocean, say if this is the first island, when you make your pass, you'll come in this way and you go down, and you'll basically turn your boat pretty much into the current, and then you move. Let's see, use this. You come in, you'll turn this way, and you kind of use the engine and end of the current, and you position the boat where you'll drift, or not drift, but you'll go in this direction, keeping it into the current. And the rule of thumb is you always want to be able to see that side of the building if you're coming in. If you cannot see the side of the building, all you can see is this, and you have gone past, and your baits
are we
your
talking
baits are
casting or trolling?
trolling. This is trolling.
Okay.
What else? About using that rig, I'm describing that, sorry. So if you stay up there and your sinker's here, and your leader's gonna be back about right here, and the fish are all just stacked right here.
Just on the other side of the
Well, they're in facing.
pile.
Right, well, this is the top of it, the width of it. Now, some of them may be a little behind it, just waiting for an ambush or something. But usually, if your bait gets back this far, you won't catch anything. So that's when it says, like, if you can't see the face say if you're trolling an incoming tide and your boat's pointing towards the ocean, if you can't see the front of this building, then your baits are not on top of the tube, they're past it. So, that's probably one of the best things that I ever learned about being able to position the boat and make sure everybody's, when they're sitting there looking for the rocks, because you're constantly going up and down. Because when you hit those rocks, you want to lift up. If you don't, the sinker's going to go down in them and you'll never get it out. So what you're constantly doing is you're feeling for the bottom. And that's when you see people doing this all the time out there during striper season. And all they're doing is feeling for the bottom. And then actually at the same time, it causes the bucktail to dart. Because every time you pull up on it, it's going to go forward. But